The sun was merciless that afternoon, a white disk burning the sky down to silence. Dust lifted in slow ghosts from the auction square, clinging to bare ankles, coating the boards where men leaned and spat, where women fanned themselves though no breeze came. They brought her out barefoot, a girl of 19 years, though the lines about her mouth belonged to someone older. Her dress hung thin, color long since washed to nothing by sweat and labor. No bonnet, no shawl. Just rope at her wrists, tying her to the post as though she were a mule too worn for pasture. Her mother stood on the saloon porch, a bottle tucked close to her ribs, eyes sharp with liquor. "She ain't worth much," she called, voice ragged and loud. "But I'm tired of feeding her. Take her, long as you do it today." Laughter cut the air like flint striking stone. The auctioneer spoke without interest, as though reading from a tired script. "Strong. No known ailments. Quiet. Works hard." He tapped his papers. "Who'll start the bidding?" For a moment no one moved. Men stared, then looked away. A boy whispered something crude and earned a sharp elbow from his mother. The girl's gaze never rose. She kept her eyes on the ground, the posture of someone who'd learned long ago that hope was a dangerous habit. That was when the shadow shifted near the back of the crowd. A tall figure leaned against the rail by the blacksmith's post. A cowboy, though his hat brim hid his eyes. His coat was worn brown, dust clinging from long roads, his boots cracked at the seams. A man whose silence carried weight. Some whispered he was the widower from South Ridge, that he'd sold his herd, that he kept to himself. None of that mattered when he lifted his hand. "I'll take her," he said. It was not loud, not soft, just steady. Coins glinted as he placed them down, enough to end the sale but not enough to mock the trade. Her mother laughed bitter, waving her bottle like a flag of victory. "Yours now. She's always been trouble." He stepped forward, pulling a small knife from his pocket. The rope frayed, snapped free. He didn't touch her wrists, though the skin bore angry red grooves. He only asked, "You hurt?" She shook her head. No voice. "You got a name?" She gave none. He didn't press. Only nodded. "Wagon's waiting. You come or stay. Your choice." The crowd held its breath. After a heartbeat, she stepped down from the crate. Her knees buckled once, but she caught herself. He matched her pace, slow enough for her weak legs to follow. Together they left, the stares of 100 eyes burning their backs. The wagon creaked under its own age. A mule shifted restlessly in its traces. He helped her climb into the bed without a word, passed her a canteen. She drank like it was salvation. The town receded into heat and dust and judgment. Neither spoke. The road stretched, the sky deepened into amber, then bruised violet. When they reached the ranch, dusk had fallen. The house leaned against time itself, boards weathered, a barn slouched at its side, and an oak tree bare of half its branches. He lit a lantern, held it steady as she climbed down. "Kitchen's through there. Rooms upstairs. Hungry?" She shook her head. "You clean?" A small nod. He pushed open the door. Inside smelled of cedar and old ash. No curtains, no ornaments, only wood worn smooth by years of solitude. A single photograph hung above the hearth, its faces too faded to read. He gestured toward the staircase. "Top of the steps, left room." She went without reply, leaving the door ajar. He did not follow. Morning came pale and cautious through thin curtains. He found her at the sink, sleeves rolled, washing mugs. "You don't have to," he said. "I don't mind." Her voice was quiet, hoarse from disuse. They ate breakfast without chatter. His limp dragged faintly when he stood. The wind slammed the door, and she flinched hard enough to spill coffee. He noticed but said nothing. Later, when her broom snapped, he mended it. That night, he left a shawl folded on the banister. Days settled into rhythm. She folded towels into neat squares. He fed the mule first each morning. He said good night at the same hour, whether she replied or not. She lingered on the porch at dusk, staring at horizons as though they might offer her another life. He never asked what she saw. One evening, she broke the silence. "Why'd you take me?" He poured coffee, handed her a mug. "Because no one else did." She lowered her gaze. Could have chosen someone prettier. Didn't need pretty. Then what? He looked toward the barn. Needed someone who wouldn't leave. She said no more, but she sat closer at supper. A storm came sudden, drumming the roof, water spilling from gutters. She stepped outside, let rain soak her hair, her dress. She tilted her face up like one praying. He watched from the porch, then walked to her, draped his coat over her shoulders. She didn't thank him. She didn't need to. Later, by the fire, she whispered, "I was 15. First time my mother sold me." She swallowed. Tried to run once. Locked me in a shed for 3 days. After that, I stopped fighting. He did not flinch. I paid to end something. Not to own you. She trembled. But you don't know me. I know enough. Silence stretched, filled only by the crackle of wood. For the first time, she didn't look away from his eyes. The town did not forget her. At the store, when she reached for sewing thread, a woman slapped her hand. Spoiled goods don't touch nothing delicate. The rancher's voice cut sharp. That's enough. His tone was steel, though he never raised it. You speak to her again, you'll regret it. They left with little. The ride home was silent. She stared at her lap, knuckles white. I'm tired of being looked at like I'm dirt. You ain't. Then what am I? He took his time. You're what they're afraid to admit they threw away. Rain threatened again that evening, clouds swollen and low. They barely reached the barn before the storm broke. Lightning split the sky. The mule reared, wheels skidded in mud. He pulled the reins, muscles straining. They unhitched fast, stumbled into the barn as water poured through the roof. Wind howled through rafters. The girl's hair clung to her face, dress soaked to her skin. She shouted above the storm, voice cracking. You don't know what I've done. I don't need to. But I need you to. She gasped, words spilling. I stopped counting after the 6th man. I thought you bought me the same as them. No, his gaze held hers, unshaken. I paid to stop them. A beam groaned overhead, split loose. He shoved her aside, took the brunt as it fell across his shoulder. He collapsed to the mud. She screamed, dropped to her knees, cradled his head. Don't move. You're bleeding. I'm fine. His voice was a rasp. You're not. Tears blurred her vision. I didn't want you to get hurt. I'd rather hurt than watch you dragged back to hell. Her lips trembled. You said I could change the ending. I believe that. She pressed her forehead to his. Then stay alive for it. His laugh was weak but real. That's a fine order. By morning, the storm passed. Golden light filtered through broken rafters. He sat propped against a barrel, bandaged, weary. She brought him coffee, their fingers brushed, and this time neither pulled away. Later she packed a satchel, trembling. I need to leave. He nodded. Then you should. Why aren't you stopping me? Because needing to go means you haven't chosen to stay. Her throat closed around the words. She climbed into the wagon, reins in hand. The mule stood still, refusing. She tried again, harder. Nothing. He stood by the barn, eyes steady. Animals know. You don't really want to leave. Her hands shook. I'm scared. I know. I thought leaving would make me free. But all I feel is empty. That's because freedom's not about going. It's about choosing. She climbed down, walked to him, shawl clutched tight. Her voice broke. What if I stayed? Then I'd have to build a new fence line. A wet laugh escaped her throat. Why? Because it wouldn't be just my land anymore. Her eyes shone with something new, fragile but fierce. Would I be your wife? His hand lifted, not as command, but as question. Not unless you want to be. She placed her hand in his, steady now. I want to. Before the sun dipped, they stood by the creek. No preacher, no crowd, just two shadows joined under golden light. She burned her mother's scarf in the fire, watched it turn to ash. He took down the faded photograph from his hearth, placing it gently in a drawer. That night, they sat on the porch, 2 chairs filled for the first time. The lantern glowed against the dark, and the wind carried the scent of pine. She turned to him, voice soft but certain. I think I want to belong here. He looked out across the ridge. Then you already do. Her fingers brushed his. The floorboards sighed like old bones settling. The storm had broken, but something deeper waited on the horizon, something neither yet dared to name. And as the last light bled away, the house, once hollow, breathed again, waiting for the choice that tomorrow would demand.